There is one law that applies to all living things, to birds, to plants, to people. And once you understand it, a lot of things start to make sense. But first, a question. Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right and nothing changes? You study, you work, you push yourself, but it feels like you're running in place. And at some point, a thought creeps in. Maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe I'm not smart enough, not disciplined enough, not strong enough. Most likely, that's not true. Let's take a simple example from nature. There's a tree. Planted in the right soil, it grows to its full potential, bears fruit, stands for decades. Plant that same tree in dry, lifeless sand, and it will spend all its energy just trying to survive. Not to grow, not to produce, just to stay alive. And no biologist would say the problem is the tree. The problem is the soil. So why don't we think the same way about people? When someone struggles to realize their potential, we say, work on yourself, change your mindset, be stronger. But almost no one asks, is this the right environment for that person? That's what environment really is. It's not just a place you live in. It's a system that either amplifies your natural actions or suppresses them. Your environment determines how much energy you spend just existing in it, and how much you have left for everything else. When the environment doesn't fit you, you burn massive energy just holding yourself together, maintaining relationships that don't nourish you, doing work that doesn't express you, staying in circles where you constantly have to adapt, shrink, or hold back. And there's nothing left for growth. In the 90s, when borders opened, many families moved abroad, to the US, Canada, Europe. They were ordinary people, not geniuses, not millionaires. They just relocated and started doing the same things they did back home. Same actions, same work, same minds. And for many of them, things worked out. Meanwhile, those who stayed and did the exact same things, in most cases, got nowhere close. Not because some were smarter, but because some ended up in environments that amplified their efforts, and others stayed in environments that suppressed them. Same people, same actions, different environments, different outcomes. Now here's the part most people don't realize. You didn't choose where you were born. You didn't choose your family. You didn't choose the people around you growing up, or the ideas that shaped your worldview. It just happened. And here's the key point. If that environment truly fit you, you wouldn't feel this constant vnútorní poisk. You wouldn't have that quiet sense that something is off. You wouldn't feel that emptiness you keep trying to fill. That emptiness is not a flaw. It's a signal. Your internal navigation system telling you, you're not where you're supposed to be. There's a belief that destroys people from the inside. It sounds like this. I want to change, but I want to stay in the same place, with the same people, in the same environment. That doesn't work at all. Because environment is not background. It's an active force. It constantly shapes you, pulls you towards its level, recreates its patterns inside you. You can read self-improvement books every night, but if you spend 8 hours a day in an environment working against you, the environment wins every time. It's like trying to heat a house in winter with the windows wide open. You can keep adding heat, but it escapes faster than it builds. Now, an important clarification. This is not about dropping everything overnight. Not about quitting your job tomorrow, cutting everyone off, and moving to another city with no plan. That's not the point. The point is to start seeing. Most people never even ask this question. They treat their environment as something fixed, like air, like weather, something they can't influence. And that belief keeps them stuck more than any external limitation. So here are 3 questions. Answer them honestly. Where does most of your energy go? Into simply surviving your environment, or into moving forward? When you imagine yourself truly fulfilled, Are you in the same place, with the same people, living the same life? And is there at least one person around you who proves by their example that what you want is actually possible here? If the answer to all three is no, don't panic. It's just information, but very important information. So what do you do with it? The laws of nature are not moral rules. They're just how life works. And one of those laws is simple. A living being fully воскрывается only in a compatible environment. Not through willpower, not through discipline, just in the right place. Look at birds. In autumn, they don't try to build machines to survive the winter where they are. They simply move to where it's warm. Not because they're weak, not because they're giving up, but because it's the only rational move. Putting yourself in the right environment is not escape. It's precision. And one last thing. It doesn't matter where you go first. Any new environment is better than the one you're stuck in. Because either it fits and things start working, or it doesn't. But now you're in motion, and motion creates momentum. Finding your place while moving is infinitely easier than trying to find it while standing still. The hardest part is the first step, breaking away from what you've grown into. Because when you stay somewhere too long, it starts to feel like the only option, like the norm, even when it stopped being yours a long time ago. Move calmly towards something better, leaving whatever you have to behind. Because somewhere out there, there is a place that fits you. Not the version of you you're trying to force yourself to become, but the one you already are.